Hello and welcome to the Harlem and Brooklyn Railroad. In today's video, I'll be reviewing my layout. So I'll be starting from the beginning, my initial thoughts and plans of my track work, the changes that I've kept, the changes that I didn't keep. Have some pictures in the back right now, just a few of how the design or how the build went. I do have a video coming up that shows me when I had my loops on the floor. Here you go. And at some point my back started hurting, so that's when I knew I had to start doing my bench work. So I hope you enjoy this video. So right now, I'm going to start with how I designed the layout for my model railroad. I started with a program called Rail Modeler Pro. It's a map program. I believe that's the name. So I started all my designs there, and this is well after doing months, maybe almost a year of research online, just to figuring out what kind of industries I wanted to have on my layout and whatnot, and just the mechanical properties of everything, like the smallest radius I could use for certain engines and things like that. So I'll use some terminology that I've never used in videos really, but it's just what I have mentally. And so I have two loops right here. I call this one main 1, main 2. Right now I have this local on the main 1. And those are just, they go around the layout. I mean, it's pretty simple. I don't have the biggest layout. So they goes around the perimeter of the layout. And that's kind of what I put down first. In the final video, I should have a screenshot of how it looked in the beginning. At the very beginning, I knew that I was going to have a second level. Didn't even think about the third level, but definitely had the second level in mind. So I kind of had in my head how I was going to get up there. I think that's like 18 inches. That's what comes to mind right now. And so that's when I started designing my main 3, which is pretty much both of these tracks. The main 3 has a reverse loop on the top end. So this track right here and this track right there, that's one reverse loop. And when it's coming down to the main level or the first level, give me 1 second. So as I was saying, when it's coming down to the main level, I need some motion. One direction goes right here through the yard, and then the other direction right here, this goes to my locomotive facility. And actually with some wiring I can make another reverse loop right here. But anyway, this keeps going and it kind of loops back to this track and goes back up. But this is also my salt industry right here, pretty much, and also have like a, I don't know what I should call it, but another industry that I've that will be doing packaging, so like a packaging industry. And then the line, as you may or may not know, on the right, that goes into my intermodal, and then that's another reverse loop on the bottom. So this is the other end of that reverse loop, and you can see the insulators right there. Always knew I was gonna have the intermodal facility here. That was well early into the plan. This is actually the oil tanking area. This is probably one of the latest, if not the latest, industry that I have added here. On the reverse loop, I have just one industry that splinters off right here. And this is a plastics facility. Always knew I would have a couple of those, just based on my experience working with plastics. Made sense. And of course I needed a yard that could hold as much as possible, right? And so this hasn't changed as much. I will say that initially this track right here would only merge with this track, and that would be its own, at first that would be the main one, and then this track right here with the UP stuff, that was the main two. And then I would have, and I've had it in older videos, but I had a double crossover right here. As you can see, it's so hard to reach over there, so that's one thing. And this was the Pico model, so I tried to have used the electrical switches on it, and it worked a little bit, but then it just became too much of a hassle to fix it. You know, once I reach in there, you know, it's not much that I can do. So at some point I just got pissed, so I just took that out and kind of redesigned those tracks. So it made things easier as far as getting from the main one to the main two and pretty much to the rest of my layout. On that main one, I also have my car float, which is a later industry. So that's probably one of the last ones I've added, the car float or the oil stuff, the crude oil stuff. But also the power plant was there from the beginning because I still wanted to just do the rotary movements. So this is the point really where the main one and main two, as well as my main yard, converges with the rest of the layout. So I just have a left hand and a right hand butted against each other. And I think one of the things that I learned, you know, researching is that the main line should stay not on the diverging route, but on the straight part. I can't think of the terminology right now, but I think I was stuck with keeping it like this and taking my chances because, you know, earlier you're learning the different derailments of why things are derailing, and I had my issues right away, and pretty much learned how to relieve certain things with the tracks and whatnot. But anyway, so I can get on the, as I told you earlier, I have reverse loop on top for the main three, the third main line or whatever. And so I can go up this direction, or I can go up this direction. And you see they're leading right here, and this goes up a couple of times up to the next level. It's really tight in here, by the way. And this is not the most ideal way to have a layout, but I really wanted one, and it's just me in here for the most part. So you know, and then so they lead up to right here, and then this is where they get together. No longer a double main, becomes a single. Yeah, so you see it becomes a single line. Then there's a connection with the second level, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then it keeps going up to the third. This is something that I added recently for the steamers. Turns out that I really don't need them at all. The issue is just opening up the track a bit more, so I think I opened it up a couple of more centimeters. So I got it pushed towards the end to get rid of the derailment I was seeing. So the second level, I thought that I would have industries up here, have all my passenger stuff up here. This has come a long way from how it looked prior. I mean, it's not the best looking, but for me it's good. This was a way later edition, so I had to get in there and cut through this and all that, because of course I had the main line, needed to get up to the third level. And I'm just going off of what I remember. I didn't take any notes, but this passenger station, or the passenger area right here, initially it was just going to be for auto racks, for Amtrak auto trains. That's what drove me to getting into Amtrak and all that. So long story short, I decided having the auto racks on the layout all the time would just be too much. And so I have it on for today. I've been running it for the holidays, but that's something that I keep off the layout. But long story short, I needed a station, a main station, and this was like the only spot. And then so as I was building it or designing it or whatever, getting stuff, I realized that I wouldn't be able to have my industries like coal. Coal was one of the main things that I wanted. Don't think I was thinking of the oil refinery at the time. And so that's what made me get the third level as I was building the second level, because it was either just thinking about what I would have in the future, or in some way just stuffing it all up on my layout and just crowding it. And I don't care about having a crowded layout. That's what I want. It's whatever I want to run. I'm just happy that I have it, no matter how crowded it is, because on my next layout I'll have some of that material already. So yeah, the second level just ended up being, Amtrak passenger stuff. And so I thought that I'll just add buildings. I'll add whatever buildings I want up here and whatnot. This mountain came way later in time. This was like the first big scenery thing that I did. I mean, I have that corner, but this was took more time. And some of these are lighted, like these woodland scenic ones. These lights all work, but I never turn them on. And I do have lights for these buildings, but it's not a priority for me right now. I just added this building here recently. Oh, and because I had so much passenger stuff up here, I decided to take some more space on the other side of my layout and add some industries back there, because I figured out that I could do something. So I have this little industry right here. This would probably be for some byproduct of the crude oil. I can't think of what I had it at this time, but a byproduct of crude oil. And this allowed me to do more switching and bring in some freight back here opposed to just keeping passenger stuff up here. I mean, I do run my freight on this line every once in a while when I just want to attack all the tracks in one loop. And I don't have any problems with the freight. The bigger problems that I had were with the passenger stuff, with the cattle stuff. I would get some derailments, and I've had to rework this track a few times back there. Like the last few issues were in this area, and I think I have everything fixed right now. But like I completely ripped out the track in the past and just pushed it further back and made sure everything was leveled out before I added quote unquote scenery. As you can see, this is the first, my initial trial, and I just pretty much built on top of that. So I'll let you get the back shot or the back side of the layout. This is where I stand most of the time, either in that section or that section. I do have stools over there. So for the second level, like I said, I needed another yard so I can do more switching, just have more space for my freight. And so there you have it right here. I recently changed things up. And I used as much space as possible. Check the door out, made sure I could clear that. But I did have a passenger platform right here. I removed that a couple of weeks ago and just pushed this track here. So this is just going to be freight because sometimes I do have issues, some derailments right there. But that's pretty much fixed. I've always had issues with this track. I'm not sure. I mean, of course it didn't come with wiring directions, and I got it to work for the most part. I have 4 switches right there. Don't remember anything. I always got to do trial and error to remember how they're wired. But just running it right, running an engine through them, sometimes I get shorts. I haven't thought about it in a while, so it's hard to explain. But what I did was I just tried to isolate all three rails, turn them on when they're needed. And so I found a sequence where it works at least. But I think going forward, I would just use reach cars that I have on my layout when I need to do switching for these 3 rails. I mean, or I can do that. That works easily. Or I just have to remember the sequence to make sure I have power on the right tracks. Oh, I should have been. I don't have a name for this yard yet. I think it helps to have names for different areas of your layout. Just didn't get to name in this spot yet. Also, I need to finish the software layout that I have. Definitely won't be done by the time this video comes out. This is another plastics facility right there, but I've since used that building for something else. And this is just a matter of using as much space as I can. So I thought that's just a spot to have an industry. As I said, this spot down here, this was planned right away. This area actually was done well after the 3rd tier was done. I just realized I could use this space. I can't remember what I planned on having here earlier. If it was always going to be a car, maybe I always thought the car float was going to be here. I'm not sure. Always wanted to have one of these. This still isn't going after a year or 2 years now. I mean, it works. I just didn't get the pieces and everything to hold the cold porters down. At this point, I don't even care about it that much as I did a year ago. But one day. I think, yeah, this actually a couple of months ago, actually, this used to go all the way out and just stub in right there, but I decided that I need to connect it back to the main one for when I actually do coal operations, which I have not done. It will be easier to get on the main line, and maybe I can still simulate that in a video. And I have a way of holding the cars down as this rotates, but I'm not doing any live coal right now. Just don't have time to get into that project at the moment. I do have a couple of videos for the car float that works. Showing you this freight train going up to the 3rd level. Sometimes I do have to remove some of that background stuff every once in a while. It's unlikely a derailment happens back there, but it does happen. So up here, these are the industries that I wanted on the 2nd level that were not able to fit. So right away I have a turnout that goes to my coal tracks. Discussed that so many times, I won't do it right now. Just put this bridge down. It just happens to be a camera. I used it a couple of times. I need to 3D print something or find a new solution. I found a site that offers small cameras, have speakers on it, just so I can get a cab view. That would be nice to do again. So the 2 tracks far side, like I said, that's for coal. This is a tracklet video, so I got 2 stub-in tracks right there for I guess those are mainly for crude oil intakes. So, yeah, I think that would be the only thing that would come in as far as using rails, would be the crude oil for most spots. Not sure if there would be an output or byproduct that would leave by rail. So I need to do some more homework on that. And so the 2 coal tracks, they merge again. And so these are for the refinery, and they merge into the reverse loop. This far side track that leads to the intermodal station back there, but it does get back onto the main, which is right here. I built this months back. I'm always open to putting more track down if I find space. I always find space. And this was thought to be like a siding when I was running my steam a lot, just to get a another train parked up there, but I normally don't park a train up there anyway, so just more track and a modal. My yard, Brooklyn yard. So a couple of things going on back there as far as the track. Bunch of stubbing stuff there. Grain facility. And as I started off with, my reverse loop. So I'll mention a few things about the reverse loop. On the reverse loop, I do have some sensors involved. So right now it's aligned to be straight, and I have a sensor right back here that'll make sure that it's aligned when a train goes past, and no matter what direction. So it will align, and when the train gets right here, it will switch so it can align with this track. So that kind of limits the length of the trains that I can run if I'm using the main loop, which would, I mean, maybe not, because I can always unplug the module, but from this point right here to the span of back here where the sensor will align the track again. Not sure if any of that made sense, but that is my layout. Hopefully I can provide a screenshot to at least know how my virtual map would look, but we shall see. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.